Andy Ruiz Jr. makes his return to the winning column after a hard-earned unanimous decision over a veteran in Chris Arreola, whom a lot of people thought, including myself, was gonna be a relatively easy fight. Unfortunately for Andy Ruiz, he had to work hard for it. He was dropped in the second round, and although he did get a unanimous decision win, it does not reflect what happened throughout the fight. Even the scorecards themselves don't do any justice for Chris Arreola, who at 40 years old was able to turn back the hands of time for a few brief moments and troubled Andy Ruiz up until the first half of the fight. Around the middle rounds, Andy Ruiz was able to change his game plan and went from attacking and lunging in first, which was causing him a lot of issues as he either jumped in or dipped out after his assault to the right, which was allowing Chris Arreola to land his chopping right hand that ultimately damaged and dropped the former heavyweight unified champion in the second round. However, like I was stating, once Andy Ruiz and his corner were able to figure out what they were doing wrong, they kind of backed out and allowed Chris Arreola to be the first one to attack and then counter him with the faster and more dynamic combinations, which to his credit was the right move and ultimately slowed down Chris Arreola. Whether it was age, ring rust, whatever it may be, Chris Arreola from the first half of the fight to the second half seemed like two completely different fighters, to which Andy Ruiz was able to exploit and ultimately seemed to have swept the last few rounds. Unfortunately for Ruiz, he wasn't able to get the knockout over the veteran, but Arreola is a very battle-hardened veteran who seems to have a granite chin, and that's another thing that really impressed me about Andy Ruiz. He himself has a very good chin. His recovery ability is phenomenal. In fact, when he was hurt in the second round, I believe in the third round, and a few other times he had been hurt by Chris Arreola's right hand and power jab at times, Ruiz was able to recover. Although he would wobble and almost seem to be going down, he was able to recuperate and mount his own counterattacks. I think that the scorecards again do not reflect what happened, and although Andy Ruiz claimed that he'd run it back if Chris Arreola and the fans wanted this fight, I don't think we need a rematch for this fight. I think it's a good comeback, shake the rust off type of fight for Andy Ruiz, and I don't think that it was close enough to necessarily garner a part 2, especially since this first one was on pay-per-view. I mean, I said it before when the fight was first announced, although it is an entertaining fight on paper and it did deliver once it happened, I do not think it should have been on pay-per-view for whatever pricing. I think it would have done a lot better on normal TV. Nevertheless, this fight delivered much more than my expectations, and I'm sure it exceeded a lot of others' expectations as well, and that's because Andy Ruiz Jr. and Chris Arreola are both flawed fighters, and even though Andy Ruiz has explosive, fast hands, he still gets tagged. Hopefully he's able to develop and continue striving to improve under a new trainer and Canelo's team, and he continues to mesh his styles, and hopefully we get a Oscar Valdez-esque type of performance from him pretty soon or in the not so distant future. Nevertheless, guys, it was a very entertaining fight. Now that Andy Ruiz has moved past this fight, I hope to see him return against some stiffer challenges. We could see him in there against the likes of Dillian White, Joe Joyce, a Joseph Parker 2 rematch since he just won his fight. Hell, Deontay Wilder, Luis Ortiz. There's a lot of good fights out there for Andy Ruiz, and I really hope that now that he's been able to shake his rust off, he doesn't go for a second installment against Arreola. I genuinely don't think a lot of people out there are clamoring for that rematch. Nevertheless, guys, let me know what you guys thought about the fight. Did you enjoy it? Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so you can keep posted on whenever I drop the latest and newest video. Like always, this is Shay at King Boxing, signing out.